My name is Patrica. I'm with Dallas Paralegal Solutions Incorporated, and I have a very special guest here with us today, and that's Mr. Rodney C. Burris.
Hello, everybody. It's nice to meet you.
All right, so today we're going to be presenting his book. It's Get Off the Cycle and Run, and this has a great inspiration behind it. And some people might ask me, why are you doing a book review? Simply because I feel like this is very important and pertinent for business owners and entrepreneurs and people who want to see their companies, their goals, whether it's personal, business, to thrive. So I think this book is very beneficial and it's sweet, straight to the point, and it gets your results that you need.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited about it. Writing a book was a phenomenal experience. It felt like a download of information a little bit. So just to have it out there, and it assists me, oddly enough, with my own journey as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner. I love the opportunity to share this with so many within our network. So thank you for having me.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome, and we appreciate your time. All right, so I want you, if you could, just kind of tell me what was your inspiration in writing the book and what led you to this journey of wanting to share your story.
Gotcha. So the book is called Get Off the Cycle and Run, right? And so for framing for our conversation, a cycle is any set of behaviors or mindsets or relationships that we find ourselves in repeatedly, over and over and over again, that are producing for us the same type of results. Now, how does that relate to business owners and those that are trying to get into the world of startup entrepreneurship? I have a relative of mine, a cousin of mine. I was actually just talking to him the other day, and he is putting both feet into launching his company. He's out on the West Coast, and he told me, he was like, man, I had the idea to start this back in 2003. And I just kept running into the same type of problems, and I couldn't get it off the ground. But his story is true for so many of us, right? So many of us are at a stage where this idea that we have to do this type of work, we've kind of known it, we've kind of chewed on it, we've started, we've stopped, we've readjusted, and some of us have made great progress. Some of us have made great progress and gotten held up by the same sort of things. It's a cycle. Right. And so the whole idea is, how do I run? How do I make progress? How do I achieve what I determine my measure of success is? Because success is different for different people. Right. Success doesn't have to be wealth. It doesn't have. We all want to be millionaires. We all want to be independently, financially secure. But for some of us, having a storefront with our name on the front is success. Buying our mother a house is success. So whatever your measure of success is, how do you get past where we are right now, right? And run towards where you determine your success to be. This is what the book is all about.
All right. Well, thank you. Well, to get to my question, so that was a great elaboration on that part.
Yes.
One of the things that I love about the book, Get Off the Cycle, is it's a guide, literally. So it helps you to understand where you are at the point at the current moment, and also help you to identify. And on page 13, one of the cool things I enjoyed about reading this book was it allowed you to actually write in here and make some notes.
Yes.
And it says to basically list your 3 cycles or whatever that issue in your life that is stopping you to progress. But me as an individual sometimes struggle to identify what, certain bad habits are or cycles in my life. And so my question is to you is, how do one know how to identify the cycles in their life? And
absolutely. So first of all, it's an old cliche, right? But I'm not going to use the word cliche. I'm going to use the word adage, because it's a truism, and it applies to a lot of our lives. The adage is, sometimes we're so close to the trees that we can't see the forest, right? And so for us, the things that we're dealing with make so much sense. It matters right now. All of those things are kind of compounded where it's hard for us to have the bird's eye view, the perspective of looking at the whole, right? So first of all, yes, the book is very interactive. It has within the book, I don't know if you guys can see, but it's opportunities to write your thoughts down at the end of every segment. I didn't really write it in chapters. I kind of borrowed from Dan Brown. Dan Brown wrote the Da Vinci Code, and it's a ton of little segments. And at the end of each of those segments, it's an opportunity that I added for you to just kind of whatever triggered. At the end of this particular one, it gives you an opportunity to write down 1, 3, or more cycles. Your Patrika's question was, what is a cycle? How do you identify what a cycle is? It's tough to do, right? So first of all, any relationship, any behavior pattern, any set of recurring seasonal events that happen on repeat could be a cycle. Cycles aren't necessarily unhealthy, right? They're relationships, things that repeat, events and behavior patterns in our lives that are very beneficial. My routine in the morning to get me and my kids out the house. That's a cycle. It's very beneficial, right? When I'm tired and I need to drive from here to my mom's house, I know just how to get there. That's autopilot. That's a cycle. It's something that I've done over and over again. Cycles aren't necessarily bad. People in our life that have proven to be positive inputs. Those are great cycles to have. The ones we're talking about in the beginning of this book are the ones that are holding us back. At this stage, the page that Patrika pointed out, what page is that again?
13.
You think I would have memorized all of these pages, right? At this stage, you may not, if you can see, this is the very beginning of the book. We may not know what our cycles are right now, right? But if you notice, the very next chapter defines the different types of cycles. So let me take a step back. If you've ever learned how to ride a bike, or if you've ever heard somebody say, it's like riding a bike. Once you know it, you never forget. The whole premise of this book plays on the simplicity of a bicycle, right? So, I got so much that I'm trying to say right now. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to start. I'm going to start with my mom, right?
Okay.
So this is a true story. And I'm going to tie this into our entrepreneurship and working our small business. Okay? So my mom called me. She was frustrated. She was aggravated. She said, these people that you know, we had relatives that were involved in some crazy stuff. She was like, these people are doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. They're repeated cycles that I've done, cycles that their parents have done. She took in other people from around the neighborhood, and she was just that type of person. She was very frustrated about it. She felt like they were running into the same sorts of walls and obstacles. She said, somebody just needs to break this cycle. Somebody just needs to get off the cycle and run. And in my mind, Patrika, I saw a person kind of like on a stationary exercise bike. And they were sweating and they were working, they were pumping, but they weren't going anywhere. It wasn't physically progressing. And so at a certain point, they got off of that stationary bike. They used that same energy, that same vigor, that same effort. And they ran. They took off. They left that bike. They left that cycle. And while she's talking, I just had like this whole kind of imagery of how a cycle can relate to life, that a cycle has handlebars. Well, what do handlebars allow you to do? Have control, right? So if I'm in some situation that's repeating, but I don't feel like I'm fully in control of this process, that's a cycle that I may do better by getting off of it and running. If I'm pushing and working and pumping, but the pedals are broken, well, the pedals are what drives that cycle. It's your passion, right? And so if your passion is drained out, if you are doing it but you don't love it anymore, if it's actually taking something away from you, that's a cycle that we may do better by leaving that cycle, getting off of it, and running. right? And so the entire book is a parallel how the simple bicycle relates to our life. The chain connects important parts of our life. And then it goes into different types of cycles. How, for example, the motorcycle, fast. It is, people love it. It's loud. It draws attention. That cycle could kill you, right?
Yeah.
If we're not careful, if we don't respect it. So tying in all of the different ways that cycles can relate to our lives, this book does that. So how do we identify cycles in our life? Well, let's explore the different types of cycles. Explore, for example, early on in the book, it talks about the tricycle. Did you have, Trigger, did you have a red exercise? I mean, not an exercise, but like a little red tricycle when you was little. Did you have one of those?
Absolutely.
When I was little, I didn't have one of like the red one that everybody had. What I had here in Baltimore, it was called a big wheel, right? Okay. And I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it literally is, it's like 3 wheels, and a front wheel is very big, right? Mm-hmm. That's the name. It sits low on the ground. It was great. I love my little big wheel. The thing about that, though, is it's perfect for us at that stage of our lives. When we're just starting our business, we need something that keeps us low, keeps us centered. We need something that's easy for us to get on and get off. You don't want to start with the motorcycle, right? You don't want to start with the biggest thing. You want something that kind of gets you going. The problem is we don't know when to let the big wheel go, right? It's our cycle. We started with it. It's mine. I paid for it. Somebody gave it to me. I'm grown, right? I've always been like this. Don't tell me nothing. So we've done these things over and over and over and over and over again. We don't realize that at this point, it's not suitable nor progressive for us to hunch our big selves over this little big wheel, right? And so what in our lives worked for us in the beginning? What avenues or relationships to get the business going was really productive for us? But now, what's stopping us? I keep going to that person, trying to network, trying to collaborate with them. It was a great resource for me back then. But at this point, I'm getting the same results.
Right.
We're not moving, you know? And so if you think about it from that lens, then it's like, oh, and the book does that. The book goes through, there's even one, it's a special type of cycle in the book. It's the Ferris wheel. The Ferris wheel is special because it doesn't seem like a bicycle, right? But it is a cycle. Mm-hmm. And the thing about the Ferris wheel is it gets you really high up, you and somebody else, and y'all can see this beautiful panorama, and you see the whole, I mean, everything is great, but it's a couple things that's holding us back in that cycle. First of all, it is the epitome of allowing somebody else to control your altitude, your progress. A lot of times we get caught up in it as business owners, and we don't know that fine balance between working a 9-to-5, right? Giving up control, mm-hmm. or pushing towards our own measure of success. It's safe, it's comfortable to sit here with the bar over my lap and just go for this ride. But what do we end up doing? We go high, we go back low. Mm-hmm. We go high, we're not progressing, right? And so sometimes we gotta leave the comfort and the safety of being on that type of cycle, that Ferris wheel, and run. Running is ownership. Running is progress. If a person has the mentality to run, think about it. You saw somebody running. If you saw somebody walking down the street, you're outside, you're on your phone. Somebody walks past you. You don't pay them any mind, right? As long as they don't get too close, they don't bump into you. Let somebody run past you. It's a completely, if somebody runs anywhere in your vision across the street, it's like, what the? Because running has intent. Running has purpose. So we don't leave these cycles, these relationships, and just meander, just wander. If you're going to leave that, if you're going to put that down, we want to do it with the mentality of what do I tap into now? What's my plan? And run it.
It's great that you say that. Do you feel that fear correlates with some of the not so positive cycles in people's lives?
Absolutely. Fear is I connect fear to the stationary bike, right?
Okay.
So in a stationary bike, it allows me to have the appearance of working, the appearance of effort. But I know, and everybody else knows around me, I ain't really going nowhere. And I don't really intend to go anywhere. So what is that? That is, I want to start my business, but I got these kids. When are you not going to have your kids? I want to start this, but I just don't have the... Sam Walton. Sam Walton is the founder of Walmart and Sam's Club. Sam Walton started his business selling women's clothing out of the trunk of his car.
Yep.
The trunk of his car. Because he didn't have a wholesale club on a corner of such and such street to do. So he started the trunk of his car. You know who else did it? Master P.
Exactly.
Some of y'all may or may not know who Master P is, but whether you can identify with Sam Walton or whether you can identify with Master P, both of these individuals started with a little bit of their product out of the trunk of their car. Because that movement, that determination was better than being stuck in a system of non-progress. Fear can be a major impact.
Absolutely. Now tell me, how does passion, what you stated passion earlier.
Absolutely.
So one of the things that I like to preach or teach or encourage is clients that come to me and they want to start their business, and I ask them, are you in it to make money? Of course I'm in it to make money.
Right.
You're not going to last.
Money
is not a motivation to sticking with the business, because there are going to be days where you're going to get up and wish you had a 9-to-5.
Yes.
Wish you can go clock on somebody else's job and get some benefits and the heck with this, you know.
Tell me about it. Oh, yes. Don't we know it? Don't I know it?
Well, experienced it firsthand. But at the end of the day, it was that passion, that love for what I'm doing, and the love to help individuals that push me past that cycle or that down moment in my business. So if you could elaborate a little bit more about the importance of that passion.
Right. So there's 3 types of entrepreneurs. There's a serial or enterprising entrepreneurs that likes to start businesses just because, right? They really just like to start new things. Then there's that niche finder or that traditional entrepreneur that looks out into the world and just sees like we can bridge right there. This is missing from this system or this whatever it may be. And they plug in right there, they start this thing and they go. Pardon me. Then there's a 3rd type of entrepreneur that just wants to be self-employed, right? They just prefer not to have overhead and red tape and bureaucracy over them. They really want to work for themselves. Any one of those 3 are fine, right? Regardless of which one of those 3, are you the type of... So you can identify real quick, for those of us that's listening. Am I the type of person that I always have a new idea? I want to start this, I want to start this, I want to start this, I want to start this. I don't want to see it through to... I don't mind getting people in there, but I want to start it. That's the serial or the enterprise entrepreneur. Are you the type that you just want to get in there, you want to make this work, you see how to make this whole system better? That's the traditional or the niche finder, or the niche finding entrepreneur. And then last but not least, I don't mind what it is. I don't need to be a multi-millionaire. If it does, it does. I just don't want to have overhead and bureaucracy. I like working for myself. Any of those are fine. You will be successful as that type of entrepreneur if you're doing what your purpose is. So how do you identify your purpose, right? 3 things. Do you love whatever it is that you're doing, right? Passion. The second thing that goes right with it, are you good at it? Because if you love to sing, but you're not so good at singing, the chances that you're going to be able to pay your mortgage off of your vocal cords, right? So are you actually good at those things? And then the last thing, what's the trend? Where's the market, right? So let me pull back. I have a sister who works in Olive Garden. She's a chef. When we were little, me and my other sister used to tease her all the time because she used to watch cooking shows. Now, I'm 37 years old. When I was little, we didn't have cable was out. We didn't have it because we were poor. We used to watch the cooking shows on PBS, right? We watched public television. And so when I was real small, those cooking shows, some of them was old. They pull stuff out the archives and put on public television. And she used to watch them. And me and my sister used to pick on her, like, why are you 9? Why are you 7 years old watching these old, boring cooking shows? But she loved it, right? Okay, so that's the first thing. You gotta have a passion for cooking, or whatever it is that you're choosing to do. The second thing, you need to have some skills in it. Have you gone to school to hone that skill? Are you just naturally talented in it? Are you working on improving it? Are you connecting to resources like Dallas Professional Services that help you get even better at what you're doing? How are you honing your craft? How are you honing what you already have an affinity to do? And then last but not least, it's the market trends, right? So in our country today, and I know I'm sharing a whole lot of stuff, right? But hopefully, for those of you listening, I hope you got some pen and paper, right? There are a few industries in our country that's growing. Healthcare is a growing industry.
Right.
Information technology is a growing industry. The building trades is a growing industry, right? So those are just 3 right off the top of my head that I've known from working in the field for a while, that these are industries that's growing. Well, how do you take advantage of being in healthcare? You don't want to give nobody needles, right? I ain't trying to take nobody blood. I want to get stethoscope. If you have a passion, I love food, putting everything together. I've honed it. I've worked at it. I've cooked. There's Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book called Outliers. In that book, he talked about something called the 10,000-hour rule. The 10,000-hour rule simply says, for humans to develop a mastery at whatever they put their hands to do, a mastery of it, it takes on average about 10,000 hours. And they got that from interviewing the Beatles, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Wayne Gretzky, who's a hockey player. So regardless of the field, regardless if it's all mental or all hands or a combination of both, in order to develop a mastery in it, there seems to have been 10,000 hours put into that craft, working on it, honing it. So what have I already put a significant amount of hours working on honing it? Because for some of us, we've honed being lazy. We've honed the cycle of being stuck, of self-defeat, of negative self-talk. And it's not too late, but it's just now at this point to hone the other cycles that gets us off of that and allows us to run, right? So you've worked on your craft, you have a passion for it. The industry trend says healthcare is growing in my little neck of the woods, my zip code, my state, my area. So if I were to work in a hospital as a dietitian, as a nutritionist, as a food service worker, chef, I now have a stable job, phenomenal benefits, right? In an industry, in a building. When the last time you seen a hospital close? They're not closing. And so you take what you love, take what you're good at, you find the trend, get in where you fit in.
Exactly.
Right? And then you make that work in that way. But that takes intention. That's why the book doesn't say get off the cycle. It's get off the cycle and move with intention. Run, right? So, yeah, passion plays a big part, but it's one of the trifecta. And if you're doing this just to make money, you're going to feel empty because the strength in money is in its flow, right? Money's called currency. You think about a current, water, stream. It's the movement. A few years ago, Patrika, there was a credit crunch. There was a housing bubble and a whole bunch of stuff happened. Well, they called that bubble the credit crunch, right? Mm-hmm. That's because it wasn't a lack of money, it was a lack of credit. Credit is the ability to believe that the money's flowing, believe that you'll pay me back, believe that if I give you these keys, I'm going to get payments, right? It's credit, I believe or not. And so what people were doing, they were hoarding and not holding and stacking wealth. Well, if you take water, I had some water. You take water, right? It's life-giving, it's refreshing, right? You put it in here, but as soon as you put it in here and it's no longer a part of that cycle, that system of replenishing, all of a sudden, it'll last in here for a little while. But there's a date somewhere on these bottles, right? Yeah. If you listen, you got a bottle of water by you. Look around, there's a date on there because it's disconnected from life. It can't last for so long. If your goal is to take your currency, your money, and just hoard it up, it's not serving you. It's not serving others. It's no longer connected to the passion, to the opportunities. You're not utilizing it in the skills that you hone. You're going to be stale. Your best bet is to utilize, put this water, this currency, those talents to use, right? Those are positive cycles, and the book talks all about it. I could talk about this for days. It was a pleasure to write it. It was a pleasure to share it, and I really hope that it helps more people get that entrepreneurship going. Because if you can tap into what you're passionate about, what you're good at, and find ways that we all can benefit from it, it's not just going to help you. It's not just going to pay your bills. It's going to have a multiplier effect for so many of us. And we need that. I need you, and I haven't even met you. I need for you all to be successful so that we all can benefit from your success.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well said.
Thank you so much.
Well, again, this book is coming highly recommended. And again, I'm a entrepreneur myself. I read the book, I purchased the book, went to the book signing, and I was like, oh, I get to it. And I think I was flying out on a business trip, and I was like, oh, let me grab the book, let me see what it's about. And connected with the book, read the book, and immediately, when I say immediately, even for an individual like myself who's been in business for a while, I started to identify cycles that was in my life. And I'm ecstatic to say that I've had some recent changes that has brought me some success since after I read this book. So I am recommending my clients, my associates, my friends, if you're looking for a change in your personal life. I mean, this has changed my life personally as well. My mindset as far as setting more goals, because sometimes you can be already in business and become stagnant. Everybody hits that plateau every now and then. And I was able to reset some goals for myself, and I found my creative juices started again, and I'm just really grateful for Mr. Rodney Burris and the inspiration that he got to write this book. And I've been telling people, oh, you got to read the book. So I just wanted to be able to present these books to individuals because I feel like they're going to benefit from it. You know, his book is available on Amazon.com. It's Get Off the Cycle and Run. It's only for a small fee, and I think it's really, really economical, and you're getting a bang for your buck. And then too, you know, if you like me and you want to bless somebody with the book, read it and pass it along. It could be an inspiration to other people as well. But today, you guys, it's your lucky day. I'm going to do a drawing for you guys. So all you have to do is go to www.dpsinc.org and subscribe there. And I'm going to do a drawing let's say in 2 weeks. And then that way you guys can have an opportunity to get a chance at this free book. So again, we thank you for your attention. We hope you had your pencil and paper and taking some notes and getting that inspiration that you need. So Mr. Burris, any final words you like to add?
Just say, wow, I was honored to come on your show and do this with you. DPS provides services that I would have loved to have when I was just starting. So to know that you're out here and you're helping the small guys like us who just got an idea and a passion and may or may not have all the technical skills and the back office support that we may need to really get going. To know that you're out there, whether you're providing tools like this or whether you're providing the administrative support or the tax or whatever the connections that you may or may not provide us with and have access to, it's great. And because of that, it was an honor for me to be a part. I would like to. Can I be a part of the whole free book thing? Not for myself.
Absolutely.
So let's do two.
Okay.
You do one. You do. So do two drawings. Let me know when, and we'll get that out to them. And yeah, I really appreciate this, guys. Dallas Professional Services is one of the best companies out there for the small guys that are like us, really trying to make our impact in our own niche, in our own world. Check out that website, dpsinc.org. Again, it's something that I wish I would have had, but now that I know it's there, I'm sharing the news about it as much. So please tap into that. Ms. Dallas, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome, Mr. Burris, and we appreciate for you taking your time out and coming and spending this, time with us and elaborating more on your book. So you guys, you got these resources. Let's utilize them. All right, you guys have a good day.